Hey everybody, Cone here. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa. But not for our usual song and dance here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I was recently nominated for the LD Drift Challenge, which is a set of challenges for non-drifters to learn and respect drifting in, well, any really video game or sim racing game, whatever you want. But most of the people seem to be doing it in Assetto because Assetto is kind of one of the premier drifting simulators out there, even though it didn't set out to be that. I thought about doing it in BeamNG. I think BeamNG is actually something that is maybe not noticed enough for its drifting, and we might check that out a little bit later as well. But for now, let's look at what this challenge is. I was nominated by one Billy Strange, who's already done his challenge, and of course he knocked it out of the park. Billy is a fantastic YouTuber and sim racer, far more talented at both of those things than me. So I have a lot to try to live up to, being nominated by him, but I'm gonna try my best. So I have my camera over the advanced side of this because I'm not advanced. I have drifted before. Let me be clear, I am not an absolute novice to drifting. In fact, being the owner of a 240SX for the last 15 years, whatever it's been, I've been around drifting for a long time. I've done a ton of drifting photography. I've tried drifting myself. And despite all of that, I am absolutely a drifting novice. So I'm going to be in the beginner category over here, which includes 5 challenges: a handbrake turn, a power slide, a figure of 8, and a linked 3-corner drift, as well as a wall run. The qualifications for these seem kind of loose. I watched through LD's video here, I watched through Billy's video. Definitely seems like there's some wiggle room in here, and I might kind of fudge some of this or just change some of it. For me, the handbrake turn, it is an important part of drifting. For me though, I've never been a handbrake drifter. I've always been a clutch kick or upset drifter. By that I mean I would enter a turn and kind of rock the wheel and get the car upset to initiate a drift, or I would turn in and clutch kick to get the rear tires to spin. That's always been kind of where I find more enjoyment in it than the handbrake turn. But the handbrake turn is a really important skill, and it's also something that I think it's really showy, especially at low speeds. I think the key point of the handbrake turn and learning it is that showy, like, entrance, or I don't know, it's a good way to like end a drift too, with some style. So I'm gonna try and take it with that inspiration. The power slide is a typical learner drifter thing. Back when I did do my real life drifting event, they had a big circle, and it was an area, it was a pad for you to just try to learn how to control the car in a constant, steady state angled drift. And that's what I'm going to try to demonstrate here. The figure of 8 is kind of the next step from there, where you try to hold a steady state back and forth drift in a figure of 8 motion. And that really depends on the car as to how that's going to go. Sometimes if you got a car that's going to like super overpower the tires, you can just hold that thing wide open throttle and keep it steady state drifting in a figure of 8 just fine. In a lower powered car, you might have to clutch kick it, you might have to handbrake, you know, in the transition or whatever to get it to continue. So I'm going to keep that in mind. The link 3 corners, that's pretty much just drifting. That's open track drifting. I never really got quite that far with my real life drifting, so that's something that I've never done in real life, that's for sure. The wall run is something that's kind of new, or has not really new, but it's something that has become really important in drifting over the years, and that is positioning the car in a slide as close to the wall, usually your back bumper, as close to the wall as possible. I really hate wall runs because I love S13s, I love 240SXs, and wall runs are pretty much the reason why there's none left. But I'm still gonna do it anyway. There's a gold standard if you can record them all back to back to back with no breaks. I assume that means like don't return to the pits at any point, don't put on new tires at any point. I'll try that. I really don't think that I am a gold standard drifter, so that's probably not a qualification I should try for. I definitely wanted to find something S13 to drift with. Unfortunately, the amount of good quality S13 mods for Assetto Corsa out there is dismally low. There's very few good 240, especially, mods out there. So this is kind of the best that is out there. It was the one that was suggested in the initial video, and it's kind of a mid-power S13 180SX, you know, SR kind of setup car, I believe. It's your basic, let's say, casual drifter car. Maybe not even casual, but like semi-pro or, you know, your club drifter, something like that. So I'm going to try and take things in order here. It's not going to be like some seamless drift montage, but let's start with the handbrake turn, transition into the long skid, and then the figure 8, and then chaining some turns, and then trying to get a wall run. So for me, the handbrake turn should be a long drag, and then you should be able to be pointed the exact opposite direction and ready to go again. So that was pretty much what I was looking for there. Like I said, that's not really my cup of tea. So right there, you can see I just kind of initiated with a little clutch kick. Oh, didn't keep it going. And now it's bogging down. So this is kind of for me, this is kind of a difficult car to drift with, is why I picked it. Because it is a lower horsepower car. It is a turbo car that has a good amount of boost lag in it. So you gotta keep it strung out. You gotta keep the thing wound up and in the high RPMs, and you might even have to feather the throttle, you might have to change gears, you might have to clutch kick it to keep it going. To me, that's the fun in drifting. When you can just have a car that has, you know, a 900 horsepower LS in it, and it just overpowers the tires at the drop of a hat, that's not drifting to me. That's, I don't know, it is drifting, I suppose, but it's just not, it doesn't seem as fun anymore, even though I've had my observations about how fun professional drifting is anyway, but it is something fun to do on the side. All right, I think that's a pretty good, like, donut skid. So let's try to transition into the figure of 8. So I gotta try and, like, make some marks. It's probably gonna take me a minute here. All right, that was a transition there. A little bit of a slowdown there. Almost hit that wall. See, it's kind of bogging in the center. I think a big part of a transition is that it never looks like the car fully lost momentum. Like right there. Right there, I lost momentum entirely. So that didn't count for me. We had like one good loop. See, first gear in this car, that wall really is a nuisance to me. First gear a little bit easier, but back when I was hanging out with the drift crowd, I think it was pretty well accepted that first gear drifting isn't drifting. First gear drifting is just spinning tires. You gotta have some wheel speed. So let's get back to second gear. We don't want to completely overheat these tires because we still got more things to do. See right there, I had to give it just a little clutch kick again. Stalled it. And I don't mean I stalled the engine, I mean I lost the momentum of the drift. I'm probably gonna be a little overly critical on this, just because, ooh, I about knocked everything off my desk there. Just because I have some experience with this format, and I know the things that drifters judge people for, which is a problem. Alright, I want to get at least 2 consecutive, what I think are good figure eights here. Okay, that's good. Transition. Nice. Oh, saved it with a clutch kick. Alright, if we can do this. Alright, I think I'm happy with that. And transition onto the track. Did that count as 3 turns? Probably not. Well, I mean, I had with the initial turn. Oh, stalled it. Boy, those rear tires are cooking. See, I got a little behind on my steering there and plowed the front end. One thing that's interesting to note with drifting is it's not always the rear tires that are the issue. Sometimes you actually overheat, and that's why drifting kills cars. You actually overheat the front tires too, and you start to scrub, especially with the crazy suspension mods you have in a drift car. Alright, let's let these tires cool off a little bit. I believe we hooked 3 turns together, but I didn't have the point system on. Just kind of doing it by visual. Let's try and cool the car off a little bit. He says, holding it throttle down all the way. Alright, that, to me, is for sure 3 corners hooked together. Where the heck do you do a wall ride here? There's not really a wall. Oh, I was gonna say that was pretty good. I guess this one, it's hard for me to tell how close I am. I don't have VR and I don't have 3 monitors, so it's a little hard for me to tell. I can tell I hit that. It's a little hard for me to tell just how close I am to the wall. Drifting is something that I don't think it's unskilled. I don't have anything bad to say about drifters because they are, that was pretty good. I'm gonna be watching the replays to see how good I did and kind of grade my performance on this. Yeah, I definitely think drifting is something that requires a ton of skill, ton of car control. It's just a completely different set of car control than what you would normally use, but they definitely have their crossovers. Like, there's definitely some parts of this that matter in circuit racing. This is the turn I wanted to try and really... Nope, too much wall. I knew the wall ride was going to be the thing that I struggled with the most. How about that, though? That was pretty close. Didn't really continue it out. Wall tap. So yeah, it's never been a matter of I don't like drifting because I don't think it's skilled, I don't think it's a real sport or anything like that. That's BS. Don't listen to anybody that says stuff like that. The only reason I have a problem with drifting is that I love cars, and drifting hates cars. Drifting destroys cars. Especially these cars that I love so much. So, sim drifting, good. Sim drifting is good. I suppose I'll have to... I have some drifters amongst my community for sure. See, if that wall had been there, that would have been a great wall ride. Oh, I think that was good. I'm getting a better feel for it here. And you gotta wall tap it too, right? I think the wall tap doesn't count if you hit the front. I think a wall tap only counts if you hit just the back. Bit too much speed into here. You know what? I feel like I've had one in there that was pretty good. I almost wish I had done this in reverse order. I think that's what Billy did. Because if I had nailed this, I could have transitioned straight into the rest of the things. Maybe that's why he did that way. There we go. Tap to the back. Kept adrift. Oh, if not, then that one. Come on. Oh, hey, I finally transitioned that. I think we did it. I think we did it. All right. I'm gonna say we held a decent gold standard level of keeping the drifts through there. And like I said, you gotta have the showy exit. So you drift back onto the pad. Oh yeah, the tires are in prime drifting shape now. You end with that handbrake turn. Done. LD Drift Challenge complete. A lot of respect for drifting from me. It's not necessarily for me, and it's not something that I ever think I'll be good at, but I do respect it very much. I don't think this will be the end. Let's go judge how I did. Handbrake turn. Not quite 180 degrees, but it was close enough. I think my second one was actually better. Full circle skid. Almost let it stall there, but we kept angle. See, I'm not holding the wheel at a static angle. I think this area is a little too small for a second gear static, but somebody with more skills can probably do it. But I think it's actually more important to be able to continue to hold it. It's more important to learn how to keep it in a slide through the little bobbles and such, more than just sitting static at a slide. Yeah, we definitely nailed that. For me, for my money, that's a solid drift circle. So now we try to transition into the 8. Basically here I'm just laying some marks so that I know where the 8 should be. One thing that is kind of crazy about the 240SX or the S13, this chassis in general, it has such a long ratio versus its width. So it's one of those cars that has a lot of weight in the back for a car that has a ton of weight in the front. Does that make sense? So basically, because it's so long, you get to kind of swing that pendulum a lot more with it. Even though it's nose heavy, you can use the weight that's out back to help the car really swing through a turn. I've always found this car to be just super natural at the ins and outs of sliding, versus a car like an S2000 that's very similar in its dimensions. Because it's a little bit stubbier in the back and because it's a little bit wider, it just seems more razor edge. It seems like the initial slide and trying to be in between slides happens much more suddenly. I think that's why this chassis just became one of the pinnacles of drifting. Took me a good little bit to get this figure 8 down, but I think we got there. I think there was a little bit of a wall tap there. That's perfect. Drifters love it. And a push tap. Hey, you can see I'm having a clutch kick it to keep it going. That's probably because I'm fighting it too much. I'm putting too much angle into it without enough rear wheel speed. Ooh, this 8 got a little pinched over here. Is this where I drift down to the track? Yep. So that's 1. That's 2. Keeps it sliding. That's 3 here. And then this would be 4. But it pushed there. It still slid the whole way through, but it wasn't as pretty. Right down here towards the end of the run, I think we started to really get a handle on it as I push wide. Oh, I think this is the start of a good sequence. Push wide at the end there. If the wall had been at the edge of the road, that would have been perfect. It wasn't. All right, how do we do right here? That's good. See, that's a good wall ride there. Oh, this is where I transitioned here finally. How do we do on this one? I think I get close to it at the end. Tap, hit the front. So it doesn't, to me, that doesn't count when you hit the front. I think this whole last lap is pretty good. That's pretty close to the wall there. Not very close there. Technically, didn't continue that drift there. I really think point scored drifting is taking all of the fun away from drifting. Once you start scoring drifting, it's just not interesting to me anymore. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about there. A little bit of a tap, but keep it going. I think the same here. Oh, beautiful. I think the only thing that maybe I didn't do decent at was the figure eight. The rest of it, I am pleased. And then, of course, our showy end. Perfect. Right in front of the sign. Pause that. I was hoping I nailed this, and I hope I did. Oh, like a glove. Like a glove. All right. I'll take it. So another part of this is I'm supposed to nominate 3 people to try the challenge. I don't really know a lot of YouTuber sim racers anymore, especially ones that haven't been nominated already. But I'm definitely going to nominate Jem because he's the one that pushed me to do this. And with that, I will include 2 really good drifters from our community. I want to see them do the advanced one if possible, but do whatever you can. And that's going to be Isaac from Automation and Incarcerate, just because I want to hear him talk some more in a video, and that would be lovely. He's also a really good drifter. Thanks for the nomination, Billy, and thanks for the kind words as well. Thanks to LD for putting the challenge together. Hope you enjoyed. I know it's a little bit different, a little bit weird, and but I don't know. Hopefully you got a little bit of insight into where drifting kind of rides in my mind anyway, and maybe you have some more respect for it in the end. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you next time.